from the world of hospitality. We are about to start our next session, Emerging Women Power Hospitality India. I would like to invite our moderator for the day, Mr. P.K. Mohankumar. He's a former Taj senior leadership and founder CEO Turnstone Hospitality. I think we can have a little louder claps. Thank you. Everybody knows Mr. Mohankumar, he doesn't need any introduction. Next, I would like to invite the ladies on stage. Ms. Kadambari Sabharwal Talwar, who is the GM of Courtyard by Marriott, Bengaluru, Hebbel. On the stage, please. Thank you. Welcome to World of Hospitality session, ma'am. I can't hear those claps at all. Thank you. We have Ritima Nair, who is a hotel manager for Fairfield by Marriott, Bengaluru, Whitefield. Ms. Ritima. She's not there. Next, we have Miss Ritu Chawla Mathur, who is the managing partner for Prognosis Global Consulting. We have Ms. Maheswari, Senior General Manager for the Radisson Bengaluru City Centre. We can continue with those claps. Thank you. We have Ms. Sabrina there, who is the GM of ITC Windsor, Bengaluru. Welcome to the panel, ma'am. And last but not least, we have Ms. Bhavana, Alvares, who is a hospitality consultant, but she has been in the industry for a very long time and worked with Taj Hotels as well. So, one last big round of applause for all our panelists. So over to you, Mr. Mohankumar. Yeah? Have a great session.
So good evening to all of you, and thank you so much for joining us here this evening. Well, it is obviously, I was telling all the lady GMs here, they not just represent their brand, they represent India. So please give them a big hand. So, looking at this stage and the galaxy of stars of lady GMs, we can be justifiably proud that India has really arrived. Yeah, in terms of being an evolved nation, being a developed nation, and also well on our path to recognize the fact that there is that woman power, which is almost about 50% in India. So once again, it is my personal privilege and pleasure to be here, to be the moderator for this particular seminar. This is actually going to be a discussion that will go on forever. But somewhere we have to start. And so the whole purpose of this seminar is to actually understand from their perspective, what does it take to be a successful general manager of a hotel? So before I get into the specifics, having been a GM of having been the general manager of many hotels in the Taj Group for so many years, and my first hotel was the Gateway Hotel here in Bangalore. It was one of excitement. For those of you who have worked in the hotel and who have actually gone in the first time as the general manager of the hotel, would understand the kind of excitement, overwhelming state of mind when you are actually going to take over as the GM of the hotel. So one of my mentors told me, listen, Mohan, of course, you've always been, you can never be ignored, even when you are a food and beverage manager of the Taj Residency. Bhavana was my colleague. But when you become the general manager, the buck stops on your table. And do you know that all the eyes, whenever you are walking in anywhere, all the eyes are on you. Anyone who's around you is always looking at you. And then that's a huge responsibility, because that means you are in the eyes of and minds of people. Whether you walk into the lobby or walk into the kitchen stewarding or kitchen, anywhere, right? So it's a transformation. It's actually a metamorphosis from a head of department to become a general manager. Now, added to that, if you happen to be a woman, if you happen to be a lady, then it becomes even more, conscious, and also a sense of responsibility. Because unfortunately, I'm sure all of you agree with me, that the woman always has to prove a lot more than the men. Whatever job they do, wherever they are, even when they actually are on the stage today, they are a lot better dressed than many of the men around. So, yeah, exactly. So, you see, there is a certain amount of responsibility that they have. So, we will find out today from each one of them what does it take to become the general manager of a hotel, and also to the other two ladies who have already been general manager now, they moved on, and they will tell, they'll also share their role in their life when they were the GMs of hotels. Okay, so I'll go in straight on to the questions. So it's not fair that I, being a veteran in the hotel industry, I think I have the privilege of knowing almost everyone sitting here. But I don't think I should actually be swallowing the whole attention to me. So let's begin with the lady on the right. Just allow her to say 1 minute of your introduction.
Namaste everyone. Namaskara. My name is Sabrina. I'm General Manager at the ITC Windsor in Bangalore, and I'm really delighted to be here today. I have just recently taken over this month as the General Manager of this iconic property, and it's so wonderful to be on a panel like this, because I didn't really expect for somebody to actually ask me to share my views on what it is like being a lady and in that position so soon. So I'm really grateful. I come from about 16 plus years of experience in the hotel industry. I started my career in food and beverage as a manager and spent 10 years in that field as well. So I was a little bit of an outlier in that portion. I'm so happy to hear Mr. Mohan say he was a food and beverage manager, because then we're kindred spirits. And post that, I've been 5 years, for 5 years in overall hotel operations, and this is my first general manager role. So thank you so much for having me.
Good one. Thank you, and wish you all the best. First of many hotels to become.
Thank you very much. I think quite overwhelmed to be here, but I'm Kadambari Sabharwal Talwar, and I'm the Gen Manager at the Courtyard by Marriott Hebbel. So my journey started way back 23 years ago to this day, and I have been with the Marriott ever since. I was with the Taj group in terms of my training, moved out of there, joined the Marriott, and have not looked back. I started with sales and marketing, so very different to most of the journeys that a lot of people have taken. Moved over into the operations world and then the Gen Manager role. So I'm extremely happy and elated to be here. Like I said, I'm overwhelmed as well. But it's a great platform to be able to speak your mind and be able to share a lot of the learnings and hopefully be able to give some inspiration to the people who are sitting out there. So thank you for having me over here.
Yeah, this is the second round of seminar that I'm having with Kadambari also in the panel, and she's extremely articulate, and I'm so happy that it looks like she's born to be a hotelier. from what I could make out in the last conversation that I had. So thank you so much for coming over. Ritu, your mic, yeah. Go ahead. Another hospitality veteran who's actually now into becoming an industry leader.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ritu Chawla Mathur. I've been in the industry now 25 plus years, quarter of a century. Feels old. But I started my career with the Taj Group as a management trainee, and then I was very lucky to, very early in my life, to get a senior leadership role as a general manager, and I have Mr. Mohankumar to thank for. In 10 years of my career, I saw a GM's position into my career, and I have been 20 years with operations, and then I decided it was time to bid bye to Taj and the Marriott, and I decided to take on a consulting line. I'm a second generation hotelier. Both my parents were hoteliers. So I thought that was the most logical progression to how the career should move. And I've been in the consulting space for 10 years. I help with now, after running hotels for all these years, I help build them. I help put together with ownership a whole, a feasibility approach to the projects, and then help them open hotels that are just not ego assets, but then actually help them make money. So that's been my journey of 25 years, and I'm really excited to be on this panel because with Kadambari as well, I'm part of an organization called WICI, Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and our very agenda is an informal group to help bring more women into the fold of the industry, and apart from that, also make sure that they remain an emerging power. So empowering them and increasing the role and presence. And I really hope today's conversations will lead towards that. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank
Mohankumar,
you.
for having
Thank
us
you, Ritu.
here.
Now you can see how these ladies can actually outsmart you when it comes to articulating themselves, okay? So you really are seeing the power of women here on the stage. I need to really make sure that I sort of protect my turf. Yes, Uma, I just want to quote her. I was very impressed. Yes, we obviously had a bit of a briefing yesterday, and then it struck me as to what she said. She said, Uma highlighted the need for women not to succumb to the downside of a career woman's plight. So she spoke up, says it's okay. There's nothing abnormal about the challenges that we face. It's okay. Make it part of your life in real shop floor situations, but to recognize and celebrate. So she was saying in terms of a proactive outlook that you recognize and celebrate even the challenges that a woman faces, right? That's the only way you actually, you need to have challenges to really fight back and be dynamic. So thank you, Uma. It was very impactful.
Thank you. Namaskara to everyone. Thank you. First of all, I want to be gratitude to be here in front of you. Will I make an inspiration for someone who's coming back? My name is Maheswari. I am the General Manager of City Center, Radisson. I am also part of GRT company, which has been the mother brand. So I am a background of housekeeper. So first of all, I should be very thankful to be in other operation, to be an housekeeper, to be a general manager is a very good big phase. In this, I would like highlight this importance to the management where I work. So giving an equal opportunity for me to be present here and giving an opportunity to head the hotel. So it's not easy to be here. So though I'm sitting in front of someone who have been trained here, they are also from this side. So first of all, that's a gratitude towards. It's not easy to come back to be in operation. As I said, every walk we make in a hotel on a day, you have been looked into for a different perspectives. So it's not that you're going to be a frame of work. As you said, hotel industry is only a man serving another man, human being serving another human being. You don't know what is going to be a profile of the job of the particular day. It's going to be the mood of the day which is going to come in. So you have to take the challenges. I love the challenge. I took it across. It's going it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Uma. Well, now we have someone whom I knew for, she's in a sense, actually I had to be very careful because she's always been my critique. She happened to be the part of my team when I just came in at the Taj, at a young GM in Gateway, driving everyone mad. And I'll tell you just before she introduced herself, I can never forget this actually. So, as a general manager of the hotel, I want to be the best. So I want to prove in the Taj that here is this new guy who's taking over a new brand, the Gateway. I was also on the board of that, and a new concept, right? So we were just 10 of us, and Bhavana was the executive housekeeper, very young lady, and so we had this MMD. That means I don't think you have heard of MMD. You would have heard of MOD. MMD I introduced called Morning Manager on Duty, because usually from 6 in the morning, there's nobody around in the hotel. So at least till 9 when all of us come in, there has to be one of the HODs who has to come early morning. Well, this was, certain things, the boss is always right. There's no discussion. It was there, MMD. So I was there, so I would go to the time office, and I was standing around just having a look at the place, and then our madam comes. She's supposed to come at a particular time. She's just only late by about 10 minutes. So, and she saw me. So I was actually scared. This time, being a male GM, I didn't want my lady HOD to follow over her scooter. So he said, don't worry, take it easy. It's okay if it's 10 minutes late. Then later I got to know that she was also expecting. So this is something that has been etched in my mind. That here is a lady who actually never gave up. She was coming on a scooter, and she came in at 8 o'clock. She took the rigors of being a head of department of a new hotel. So that's why I admire her. Thank you,
Thank you,
Bhavana.
sir. Takes me back many eons. So my name is Bhavana Alvares. Currently, I'm a hospitality consultant. I write processes for various departments, food and beverage, housekeeping, and security. So this has been my forte for a very long time, where I had written the housekeeping manual for the Taj group of hotels with a few others. So my career spanned 3 decades and more. And I've had a lot of experience in the hospitality sector. And not only was there a single minute which I did not participate in the other departments too. So there has been many ups and downs which I had to go through in my career. But as a lady manager, I definitely was successful. Thank you for having me here with us, and we shall discuss much more further.
All right, so now let's get into serious business. Otherwise, you'll be wondering, what's this Mohankumar doing as a moderator? Is he trying to, when is he going to start? So the question for one, I've already prepared that. Round one, we have this, now it's almost about 3:50. This is, we are supposed to be here till 5 o'clock. So round one, question one is common to all. This is a question that is going across all the panel members. All of you are accomplished Indian hospitality leaders in your own right. Do please take a minute or so to identify fundamental challenges a woman usually encounters. Not just them, but a woman usually encounters at the beginning of her career. It could even when she's actually at the family level choosing a career in the hospitality, at the beginning of her career in the hospitality business, as much as at later on life, managerial, that's operations. Operations is the hardest in terms of hospitality career. And later at senior leadership, they're all going to grow to become regional leaders, then at some point of time go to the corporate office in wherever it is. So how are they prepared mentally? How has been so far the journey? And how are they mentally getting prepared? A lot of sacrifices, a lot of compromises. How is that they are now ready to take on all the challenges? Yeah, so this is something that is open. Anyone can start.
I would like to start, Mr. Mohankumar and everyone. So Mr. Mohankumar spoke about challenges. That is one term which is a very practical term. But when a woman leader talks about challenges, she has to have a very open mind. Open mind to ensure that she will take on every challenge which comes to her. She will take on even the gender discrimination which happens at work, and it is all because of her mind. At this time, she must let her mind rule over her heart. So once her mind is strong and she gets over there with the challenges will definitely be met. So no challenge will remain a challenge. The second thing a woman leader has to have is knowledge. Whichever field we work in, our knowledge has to be steadfast. And we have to ensure that we keep on reading over and ensuring that all our knowledge which we collect is definitely going to be for that moment and for the long other hours of our work. So it is not a challenge which will remain with us if we have knowledge and if we have the willpower.
Thank you, Bhavana. Yeah, go ahead.
You know, I'm going to answer that a little differently. I'm going to tell you a small incident that happened with me, and hopefully that should be relatable. COVID brought about a lot of devastation for the hospitality industry. And I do remember that we had some time on our hands with the masks on. There was a colleague of mine who came up to me and said, "Cads," they call me Cads, it's usually easier to say that. You know, how is it that you manage yourself amongst all of the men that you work with? And typically during that time, I was the only lady amongst 50 people. My answer to him was very straight. I said, I am not here to think about whether I'm a man or a woman. I'm here to do a job. When I come into work, I'm thinking about the job that I have to do. I'm not thinking whether I need to discuss my sari or I need to discuss a lipstick or I'm talking about the food. There's a lot more that goes on, right? Having said that, this is much later in my career. When we go into work at many different levels, we do have challenges. I think the best part is to be able to accept that yes, we are going to have challenges and we need to face it head on. I was much luckier at the beginning of my career where I didn't seem to see these differences. As I grew up in my career, I did see a few of the differences that were there. There's a lot of stereotyping that happens. There's a lot of objectifying that happens. The point is, how do you take that head on? Do you take it personally or do you take it in your stride and move on? I think the decision has to be that person's at that point in time, whether you're a man or a woman or anybody else, right? As we moved on in our careers and in our lives, yes, there came the challenge of, going the family way. The decision is always yours, whether you want to take a step back or whether you would like to carry on. Again, I'm going to give you my example. This is back to the Marriott and the organization and the culture that they've built. I was about to deliver in about a month's time, and I haven't seen any organization do this. I was handed my promotion letter. I actually had tears in my eyes. I had tears in my eyes not because of anything, but because they knew I was going to go in for maternity leave. I was not prepared to take on additional responsibility, both from a family standpoint and both from an organizational standpoint. It was my boss, who was a gentleman, who turned around and said, "Kads, we believe in you. Why can't you believe in yourself? Just go ahead and do it." So I think it's different for different people, but it's only about the way you look at it and the strides that you want to take that are going to hold you in the long run.
Thank you. That is fascinating. So you have actually heard two of the lady leaders here sharing their experiences. Let's talk about, go ahead. The Windsor Manor boss.
So I started my career as a management trainee with the Oberoi Group, and at that point of time, I think, just like the ladies before me said, you do have stereotyping that happens. So I'm a non-hotel school graduate. I studied English honors and then wanted more activity in my life. And anybody who has worked in hospitality knows that, someone heard me and there's been no end of activity for the last 17 years. So I started my career, and I had a dual specialization of front office and food and beverage. And the first thing I heard multiple people come across to me and say, you're a petite young lady, and you anyways haven't done hotel school, but as a lady, I'm sure you want to do front office because F&B is really difficult. And you have to carry heavy trays and you have to, work long hours and go home late at night. And maybe that's not what you want to do with your life. And I think, and I love this when I see it in young ladies today. I had a bit of a contrarian spark in me. So the minute you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to try my level best to do it. Sometimes it's a little foolhardy as well. But I think I made up my mind. I said, no, I am going to do food and beverage. So I think some of these challenges as such or stereotypes that you face, if you take it the right way, they can actually be great ladders to success also. because like my colleagues were saying, my fellow panelists were saying, there have been times when I've been in resort towns, in hotels, in the north, and I have had, as a food and beverage manager, a team of 70 people with 4 women, and I'm one of those 4 women, right? And, and people would come in and ask me, what is it like managing, so many men and so few women? And I would say it's wonderful. I learn from them, they learn from me. And, I'm hoping I get a few more ladies in later because they'll see me and then they will come. And that, I think, is the message that goes across from all of us, that, we may not be perfect. I don't think women necessarily are always the best at what we do. There are a lot of men who are equally great. But I think there is a message of hope that when you see something to be a male bastion and then you see a woman in there, it's nice to have it happen. And I think that's where the message goes out, that this is possible and this is something that we also want to do. So that's been my experience, and I'm sure all of you have had the same.
Thank you so much, Sabrina. That is very insightful. We're discovering a whole lot of things that each one actually goes through in real life. So now we turn to, it's your turn, Madhu. Go ahead.
The challenges, I think so everybody faces challenges in their career path, nor the male or female. One thing which I want to address is that how when a female become a general manager heading the property, when you address a people and most of them are male, how will you make them to accept you as a leader? That's more important. See, that's not in our hand. As I said, madam said, with the knowledge and other things, that comes as secondary. Primarily, there's a call a pride which we address to the people. So we have to maintain that. So when you address your people or when you handle the people, it has to be from heart to the head, not head to the heart. But people will understand by the time how we operate, how we resolve things, how we are not injustice to anything about it. It comes on the way, I think so. That's my case.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to pause here for a moment, if you please, Ritu, and to tell all of you, I hope you all are kind of getting into this whole perspectives that these ladies are bringing in. Something that strikes me is, do you notice that none of them actually talked about, something strange, something unusual, something unexpected. They're naturally walking into those situations of leadership and situations where, things they could be stereotyping. There could be a whole lot of, this strange looks and expressions saying that, how are you managing it? So this is all part of it, but it looks like they are taking that into their stride, which is pretty good. Go ahead.
I'd also like to address this question at 2 levels. I think the challenges I faced, one was, of course, when you're at an HOD level or when you're at a more executive position and not senior leadership GM position, the challenge was just to get support and being understood by a supervisor. And I'd really like you to look into your own teams and see if that is something that you're doing, being supportive of the women there. Because I think it was only because I was lucky with the right support of my mentors and my GMs that I was able to get where I got. Because otherwise it's not an equal playing field, and I don't think there's anything to shy away from that. It's much harder for us women because of our traditional gender roles in this country. At the end of the day, choosing a career like hospitality requires a lot of understanding at various levels between your family, your husband, etc. So I would say that was the first challenge, and it still exists, because there's enough research to support that if your supervisor doesn't support you, the chances of you moving ahead and staying and being retained is highly improbable for women. And at the second level, I'd like to support what Uma said in the terms of when I became a young GM, it was just a challenge to be taken seriously, I was this young lady, just 10 years into the industry, and then trying to work with a different age group of people, different education levels, different motivational levels. I moved into a hotel called the Fisherman's Cove in Chennai, and it was part of a rural belt, and I worked with a lot of a very what you say, an advanced union, you know, and it became really very intimidating to be able to handle a union, etc. So the challenges were just so that everybody would come around your vision. Everybody would really want to be a performing unit. Somewhere it was just so difficult to get 200 of the people around you to take you seriously. So I think I went through that, but of course if you know your work and if you're fair, transparent, there's teamwork. I think for me it was never about being in the spotlight. For me it was really creating, you know, not being in the middle of the show, but enabling others to be able to put up a great show. And I think that served me well. So yes, the challenges still remain. If there are other women in the room, they'll appreciate what we're saying. But I think a lot of the intensity is changing. And I think the younger GMs here agree to that. The intensity is changing because we are getting so much more support in every way. So that's my 2 pennies, sir. Thank you.
So, thank you. Actually, I don't know, you can guess the number of years is the collective experience sitting on the stage, which includes me. Then it will be Sachin Tendulkar's figures, you know, nothing short of 100, yeah. So, and if you minus me, still it will be a very powerful collective experience. So with Ritu, of course, Ritu can actually talk in terms of what has been. I think you joined the industry I was your mentor, when as a management trainee at the Taj Mahal, Mumbai, which year was that? 1996. So it's been 4 plus 24. So for 28 years. And Bhavana? 30 years. 30 years?
Yes, 30 and up.
Yeah. So 30 years of industry experience Bhavana has. She is 28 and the other 3 ladies are still, you know, in their early stages of career. So now we'll go on to the next question. And the next question is going to be completely different. How is it different? Now we all have accepted that they're not just passovers. They're not just greenhorns. Oh, these are ladies and they're still sort of, you know, finding their food. No. You can see them talking, in fact, a lot more confident, and a lot more authoritatively than perhaps a lot of male GMs in India. Look, all of them can articulate. This is one big, concern that I have about all the GMs in India. Many of them are fighting shy of being on the stage, communicating, and being the brand ambassador for their brands. You know, you have to be all the time in the limelight, on stage. That's an integral part of a general manager's profile. So the next question is, now that we know that they're all pretty much confident GMs, is that, okay, are there any specific values a woman of any team, leadership team, bring to the table? That means, now, let's say their predecessor was a male GM, and then she takes over, like in your case, there was, and then what is it that, how is it that the HODs and the team find it different? So the question is, would the male members be a little, skeptical? Some of them don't even want to take orders from a lady boss. And the lady members, right from a gardener to up to an HOD, do they feel a lot more secure or safe or even fair? Because there's always a soft corner for a woman for the other members of the team. So we just want to know from them, what is it that they brought some value? Like for instance, in her case, she just took over as the general manager of the Windsor Hotel. And I think, are you the first lady GM there?
In 43 years.
In 43 years, she's give her a big hand, please. She is the first lady GM of we all know Windsor Hotel. I know especially because I happened to come here in 1984, and the only hotel that I had to beat, in terms of revenue was Windsor Hotel. So, we were friends. So, it's been there as an iconic property in Bangalore, and then she has taken over. So, let's take from her, and then you also have others who have taken over from strong male GMs, or maybe even other lady GMs. But what is the distinct value that they brought? Thank you. I'm sorry I'm taking a little time extra to do this because I have to explain the whole thing. Go ahead.
So since we spoke about my hotel, I'll go first. In my opinion, and this is, all of us have different styles, and it'd be great to hear other answers as well because we can all learn. For me, first of all, I never really thought about it from that angle of being a lady taking over from a gentleman. But the one thing I feel, whether we are heads of department or heads of industry or heads of hotels, I feel that transparency and equality in all that you do is very important, because just like you want women or you want, gender diversity to be respected, I also feel that I don't want the men in my team to suddenly feel threatened that, oh, now there's a lady and therefore she's going to give importance to certain issues over others. I think the sense of equality and transparency and fairness is equally important to uphold for men, for women, for transgender, for any field whatsoever, because if equality isn't at the forefront of what we do, and transparency, people have to be able to see it, then there's always this doubt. And I feel that, this sense of being the other. So if you have, for example, a woman boss, as a man you might feel, oh, I'm the other gender. If you have a male boss, you might feel I'm the other gender and therefore this person does not understand me. So I think, irrespective of gender, irrespective of upbringing, irrespective of which state, which nationality you come from, if there's equality and there's equal support and transparency, I think that the team always ends up supporting you. So that's what I believe.
Thank you. We need to keep it up. You've been pretty much very conscious of the time. So I would request all the panelists, because we have a couple of more questions coming in. Yeah, go ahead.
So one of the qualities which a lady general manager or a lady head of an organization must have is inclusivity. So by inclusive, I mean that if a lady is going to be managing, like what the situation is today, 60% men and 40% women, she has to ensure that she takes the entire team together. When you take the entire team together, nobody will wonder and worry. There may be one bad apple, but more than that, there'll be 99% of people who will support the lady who's the head of the organization, because she shows that she cares. So once a lady is knowledgeable, she shows that she cares, she solves all the problems to her best knowledge, and she ensures that the staff which are there working for her, from the grassroots levels till the top in her organization, she takes care of everyone. So these are the ideal qualities what a lady general manager or a head of an organization must possess.
I think so most of the things been answered. Where I would like to emphasize is on that is being a women leader, women instinctively have the motherliness. I think so we hoteliers have an empathy. Empathy is nothing but we have to do. The motherliness is that we mother our job. Women do they're very conscious about what they're doing. They're very conscious about what the outcome is. Even the decision making process may take little extra, but all the pros and cons has been thought. So I think so once you are being heading and you're heading a team, they will understand by basically. Thank you.
That will remain in the minds of all of them, because they can never forget the.
Thank you.
The things that I want to say are very similar to what have already been said. Transparency and inclusion for me are very, very important. Empathy as well. But I think there are two more things that I would like to add. One is empowerment. You really need to bring the people who you work with to the forefront. Somebody somewhere took a chance on me. I think I need to give that chance to the other people who I work with, right? Everybody may not be a rock star, but you need to sit down with them, explain. You need to be able to get them up to speed if they are willing to work with you. And I think that is a very important virtue that needs to be brought about. Apart from that, it is integrity. Now, for some of us, we may call integrity as different. We may call it fairness, just. But I think the word integrity, for me, means a lot more. I come from an army background. My father was in the army. So obviously that discipline is ingrained in me. I think with everything that we do, integrity follows through. And if you don't have the integrity or the discipline, you're not going to be able to make it out there in any field that you might be in.
So I'm going to sum it up. Because I think what all the ladies just said was that I think we have an inherent leadership quality that is a little different from men. It's not like the men can't do what we can do. It's just we can do it a little more naturally. The mothering comes to us a little more naturally. So I think the fact that everyone said, and I'm just adding to it, is that without a collaborative approach, without being inclusive, without sharing power and knowledge, we are very open to sharing power. We don't hold information from people. We don't hold power back. We believe in a very distributed leadership approach. The fact that we're very easy with our words and praises. We're also very accessible. I think all of this has held us in good stead. I'm sure it's for all. Having worked with a few of these leaders, I'm aware that these are some of the qualities that I think women are looked up for. And I think that's what I think we brought onto the table, where every member was recognized and appreciated and given credit for what they did with this whole transparent fairness and approach and teamwork. And so that is my point as well. Thank you.
I would like to add on one last point, Mr. Mohankumar. One thing which I would like to mention is a woman leader is very successful if she feels that the male members in her organization, she listens to them, she hears them, she appreciates them. If that happens, then it becomes a very, very good organization. So women and men should be treated equally, and we must understand what the men say, and the men should understand what the women say. If this balance is there, then you're truly a great organization.
Great. Thank you. What the message that comes across from the leaders here, the empowered women leaders here on the stages, like I think Mahatma Gandhi, and quite recently somebody else said that the measure of a nation's maturity is all about how they respect women. Do you remember who said that? Somebody said it, very, a famous person. It's all about how you respect women and how you also take care of the children, right? So in that sense, we are all, it clearly reflects that at least in all the issues that we face in our country day to day, there is some ray of hope, as you can see in this very same hall, that here are our women from different parts of India, by the way, north, south, east, west. They're all here on stage, and they are very comfortable in their role in the hospitality as leaders. I don't see any trace of negativity that is coming out of their experience so far. That shows that it's an accepted role. It has come to a stage where, how does it matter whether it's women or men? What are you talking? Let's just talk about the gender diversity. Let's talk about gender uniformity. In that sense. So, and each one of you said, but I like the way Madhu said. She sounded like a real, that thing came out about. Yeah, I can also be mothering. I can also show that instinct, that intuitiveness about a woman brings, which a man cannot, right? That the emotional quotient. So I think they all have EQ, and today we have discovered that it's not enough to have only IQ. You have to have very high level of EQ, especially for the hospitality industry. And that comes out very clearly in all of them when they said that it doesn't matter if I'm the 42nd president of the United States, you're the 43rd. 43 years. After 43 years, she's become the lady GM of the Windsor hotel. So what? How does it matter? It's just that I have to actually add my value and bring in something that actually differentiator in my role. So the whole message is that it's a natural process. There's nothing, you don't really have to hype about it. However, there may be challenges that you face as an individual woman when you are in the hospitality industry. There are so many situations where, we can encounter sometimes a hostile situation. It could be a drunk, an inebriated guest, a male guest. And how do you handle that if you were the food and beverage manager or the hotel manager? But I'll come to the next question because time is running out. This was supposed to be at 4 p.m. Right now, what's the time? It's 4:30, so we are only half an hour late. That's okay, Indian stretchable time. So this debate is work-life balance. Wow, that's a hot topic. Is there any media people here? Yeah. So work-life balance has emerged as quality of life aspiration for all in the corporate world, not just only for the hotel industry, but across the whole world, especially for the Gen X and Gen Y, who probably are the kind of people they have to depend now to run their hotel operations, right? So how do you define the boundaries between task and time? And mind you, this is not an IT company where you can go home and work. Each one of you, enumerate the transformational policy changes in both the industry. That means they belong to an industry where we have associations and industry power groups who actually are the policy makers for the industry, right? And their own organizations that each one is representing a particular a multinational organization like Marriott and Radisson and all that. So question again is, as much as the unique measures introduced in your own organizations since the time post-COVID when this become a hot topic. In fact, it's an existential crisis because a lot of the Gen X, Gen Y who are now not even joining the hotel management institutes, and whoever joins the hotel management institutes, 80% are not joining the hotels. Period. So where do they get their talent from? So they had to wake up and smell coffee and say, listen, enough of Mohankumar's leadership style. That's over. Where everybody has to work for 12 hours because he works for 14 hours and then there's no break, there's no life. Yes, I still survive. Incidentally, I have 2 daughters and a wife who probably is happy with me. But the situation have changed. Gen X and Gen Y have a choice. The big difference is India of 2024 is a developed country. So all of them have a choice. Those who are good, who are educated, have a choice. So to complete the question, it's optional for those of you who wish to limit to talk to only basic steps taken in your organizations, because they all represent some organizations. There will be a certain limitation to which they can voice and express it here. But I want you, all of you, to be very candid, because it's not hunky-dory. Let me tell you one thing. And I've been a fairly successful general manager of hotels. Yes, I've been a task-driven person, but I also had the end of the day, evening, we used to bond with each other. That is a Taj culture, right? And that's perhaps been the culture even for many of the GMs who were there in the Windsor Manor Hotel earlier, ITC or the, because hotel industry is all about 24/7, 365 days alive. So, let's not fool ourselves saying that it's a 9 to 6 job. No. So how is it that these GMs, I don't want to be a GM of a hotel today, not with the kind of restrictions that they have in Gen X and Gen Y. So how are they managing this whole challenge when the industry is now today talking about 1:0.5, 1:1, when it was 1:2, 1:3, right? So do you need any more elaboration?
I want to say something. I think the better answers will come from Marriott's or the larger organizations. But I think there's a new breed of leaders. I don't think there is a breed left like you, Mr. Mohankumar, that wants us to be working 24/7. There is no breed like that now. I mean, as GMs, we are allowed to, and I worked with the Marriott 10 years ago, we were allowed to do, if you were responsible and you know how to manage your time and work, you could leave when you wanted to leave. There was nobody sitting on your head and questioning you. You can go pick up a golf game if you want as a male GM. I know GMs in the Marriott who are running marathons every other day all over the world. How are they running hotels? I don't know. But they are running it. And therefore, I think they've now started setting an example that, of course, there is a challenge where the head counts have dropped. But the expectations are also managed these days. And that's the point I wanted to make. Thanks.
So actually, I'm so glad you asked the question because I'm fairly new to the organization I'm in. And, some of the policies that are in place actually surprised me. I think first of all, we have to admit that there is a challenge. Because if we don't do that, then, and we were having a discussion earlier and I said these two words, I said, there's something called affirmative action, which is a very, very strongly debated point in any industry, in any country, because it means you're taking exceptional actions to reverse something that is an inherent wrong, right? Beyond what is the normal course of what you do. And, we do that in the case of bringing up backward communities. We do that in the case of, reservation for seats in parliament. And it's debatable, right? Because a lot of people feel that it's not exactly equal. But sometimes I think, in good measure and well regulated, some affirmative action is required to even the playing field. And, that's something that I think all organizations are looking at very strongly. From the ITC's hotel group, I can talk about some of the things that I've learned about, and I think it's absolutely brilliant. I believe more people need to know about it because they should know that these things exist. So, for example, I think post-COVID and the 2 years where all of us learned about hybrid model of working and work from home and all of that, it was so difficult to get women back into the workforce. Because, you had gotten used to being able to spend more time with children, be able to take care of the home and manage work. And bearing that in mind, I think a few of the interesting things that came up were, so there are, let me say, I'm not talking about flexible working hours, I'm not talking about maternity leave, because these are a given, right? They are mandated by our governments and it's what everybody has to do. But for example, when women are in positions like general managers, like head of sales, where they need to travel for work, and they have children who are under the age of 2 or 3 and highly dependent on them, the policy has been made where extra expenses for the child and a caretaker is borne by the organization or reimbursed, so that when a woman travels for 3 or 4 days away from work, she is able to travel with her child and a caretaker to take care of that child. And hotel expenses and travel expenses are borne by the company. I was surprised. I never thought of it in that light. But now that I go to think about it, it's phenomenal. Extendable circumstances of taking leave when you need to take care of young children. And we keep coming back to maternity and children because if we choose to look at it, I think that's the one big differentiator which separates the career trajectory of a man and a woman in this day and age. Earlier on, when I was even younger, a woman got married and she left working. I think that's not really the case anymore. But the birthing and child rearing of a very young child is a definite change in the life cycle and the career cycle of a man and a woman. And therefore, to encourage women back into the workforce, things like this have to be done. So, taking, for example, I was, and I was sharing this, in the morning meeting, we run through something called the manager on duty every day. So one manager stays back overnight to check that the hotel is okay and check everything. And I realized that 2 of my heads of department were not on the roster. And so I said, why not? And I was told that it's a mandate from the company that any mother with a child under the age of 2, and therefore, again, at an age where they require their mother, women are by default exempt from the roster. It may feel to the men that, oh no, now if I have a woman HOD, yes, this is at ITC. And it's such a small practical thing, but imagine as an HOD having to go and tell your boss or your GM every month that, my child is ill or my child is still, breastfed and therefore can I please have an exception. It just feels so bad, right? But to be able to mandate it so that that exists, I think that's empowerment. And that's what, I think we need to think of more such things. Is it perfect? It's not. But it's the right direction. And I think all organizations are working this way.
I think great learnings. Thanks for sharing that. But from a Marriott standpoint, there is a lot that is going on within the company, and there's definitely a change that is coming. I think it's all about the mindset. It's a burning topic in our organization. We have something known as Life on Time that has been introduced last year. But from the beginning of this year, it's been followed very, very strictly. Now, it essentially means work-life balance, where it is come as you go, come in and work for 9 hours, right? There are a lot of cynics. There are a lot of people who say, how are you even going to manage a hotel like that? To do this, for the last 6 months to 8 months, we have been managing hotels like that. And I think it is time when we call out the fact that there is a generational gap. People do not want to work, and ignore their families. They want shorter trips. They want to be able to take leave. We give that. They want to be able to have a little time off. They want to probably pursue a hobby. They want to spend time with their families. They want to join an arts and crafts class. So be it. That's perfectly fine. That's your time. We want your time when you're at work. Off work, it's your time. So Marriott's got the life on time policy, and that's working fantastically for us.
Well, I want to be a devil's advocate here. Fine. She obviously said about that part where, like, if I am a woman employee and I want to go at exactly after 9 hours, and you give the permission, what happens to the work in case it's continuing? For instance, if let's say if it happens to be a restaurant, it happens in Europe, by the way. They'll, halfway through the meal, they said, sorry, thank you. Somebody else is going to take over your table because my time's up.
So the beauty of it is that there is, when you explain all of this to the people who are around, they will always work with you as a team, right? And like I said, there were a lot of people who came up to us and asked us these questions. So we do have cases like this. But then there's somebody else who will take over, and that person gets extra time off.
Okay.
So there is an incentive which is over there.
Thank you, Kadambari. I don't want to push up beyond this because I'm already pushing up at the threshold level of Marriott policies, so I don't want to go beyond this. But I want to ask Uma, therefore, to what she said. See, but there is also a resentment among a lot of skill level people, stewards, those who actually work, those actually do the physical work, and also the supervisors, and perhaps some of the sectional managers like restaurant manager, banquet manager, and assistant housekeeper, that they are being now burdened. It's coming from all the groups. Yeah, sorry, it's all right for the bosses to say, we are not having any more replacements for any vacancies. No more recruitment. It's no more permanent jobs. It's all going to be outsourced. And we need to increase the productivity of people, right things, because then that's the way we benchmark ourselves with the new reality and the international standards, right? Our productivity certainly has to go up. However, how do you manage this transition period? Because, maybe after 5 years it will become a natural thing, but right now it's a transition period. So are there any specific situation where somebody says, madam, it's all right, the person is gone, but now I have to look after 5 tables?
Thank you, sir. I wanted to be, as you said, devil's advocate. I want to be in both face, an angel and as a devil. The process of, I'm also into the industry of 26 years. So keep on telling that when I was a trainee, I did this. When I was a supervisor, I did this. The younger generation is not ready to listen. I'm really sorry and very surprising. We have to work with the generations coming in. The millennial and the new generation is going to add up another 5 years. If I'm going to be a GM, if I'm going to have a service, it's going to be very tough if I don't change. I have to change. So you have to plan your work schedule according to that. As he said, nobody sits on a head to say that you have to work. So as a responsibility comes, we have to stay back. So the upper level, I always feed this to HODs saying that either you have to work with them, work with it, or work without that. You have to work with the people, or you have to plan your shift without working without them. As an HODs, they have a responsibilities. They should know. And one more thing I want to add, very, very specifically, we worked in different states where we had employees of that particular region and culture where you're able to understand. Now it's a very, very different culture. People who are generation won't come, they want a regular off which is being fixed, which is not to be amended at any cost. They are not happy to work after that. The high performer is off is given, is really going to be a high performer. You're going to endure his off. Definitely the 7th day is not going to be the potential one. The number of hours which we see as an HOD or a staff, I give that responsibility to our team also. Make sure if the exigency come to work for long hours, you have to give a break for the next day to come in for the late shift. You have to organize. That should be the responsibility of each HODs. That's why we have briefing, debriefing, and we have a group of WhatsApp to communicate on that. It's really tough, but you have to manage with that. So at the end of the day is going to go and you're going to be without a manpower. Better that you plan it well.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have only another 5 minutes or 10 minutes to wind up. 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes is, it's actually too short a time to talk about the whole world of women in the hospitality, but I'll have to limit myself. So I'll quickly get into the final one, the round 4, with technology replacing many traditional functions and offering end-to-end seamless solutions. In the Indian context, where guests who are used to a plethora of help, a guest when he walks into the hotel, how does he feel? You own the hotel, right? You are the king. So you expect service because that's what you expect. That's what you get when you are born in your house, right? If you're an affluent or a middle class family, you have a couple of people who are actually always, extending service to you. Your domestic help, your driver, whole lot of them, right? So therefore, the Indian customers used to service. They used to being recognized. They feel that a 4-star or 5-star hotel means you are expecting something extraordinary in terms of attention, in terms of physical presence of an employee to actually do service, right? Even to lift the bag. So how does this, therefore, how do you all manage in this whole transition that's happening of the corporate leadership is saying, let's automate, let's introduce automation, let's substitute human presence with machines, systems, processes, and whole lot of things. And also, we'll say, this is it, select service. You want to take it or leave it, that's it. So how are you managing it? Yeah, quickly. We have only just another 3 minutes.
I think all of us have 2 sets of customers that come into the hotel. We have one set of customer that's exactly described the way Mr. Mohankumar has. And then you have another set of customer who's today a lot more aware, who were born with iPads in their hands, right? So you have 2 different sets. Now please imagine that you are lying down in bed. Do you really want to get up just before sleeping, get up and put off that light, which is in a switch way off towards the opening of the room? No, right? You want it at the click of a button. That's automation for you. You will want a comfort of home when you're away from home, right? There are very simple things like Chromecasting. You can really watch the OTT chick flick that you left online when you were back home, but you want to continue it when you come across to the hotel. I mean, that's technology. You can do that today, right? You don't have to think about, अरे आज सारेगामा आ रहा है या दूरदर्शन आ रहा है, and which day do I get what? So I think it's more about adopting the transformation and being part of the transformation to ease the life versus saying नहीं हम तो सिर्फ अतिथि देवो भव करते हैं और हम वही करते रहेंगे.
I have a point. I think this discussion about high tech versus high touch has been going on for a while. I don't think technology is here to take away our jobs. I just believe the technology that's arriving today is helping us lighten our work behind the scenes. So what it is hopefully going to do eventually, once it settles down, is that we should get more time to be with our customers finally, which in 10 years ago I saw it was reverse. We were so much trying to do all the paperwork, the customer was getting missed out. I feel it may be the other way around, that if we use technology intelligently, we'll release time on hand to do the high touch work, the customer experience level work, and have the staff more engaged in front of the house than back of the house. That's my take.
So you see, ladies and gentlemen, you can actually expect at some time in India, when the bank teller tells you, why did you come? Why don't you sit at home and do your banking? Right? Today in my branch, SBI, sometimes I'm the only customer, being a senior citizen, and I love to go to the bank. So I think the world is changing. What we all have to recognize, and fortunately for me, I have changed. I have gone through that evolution. That's why I'm sitting along and feeling very comfortable with them, because now I believe, and also the fact that I've had the chance to be trained in one of the toughest countries in the world, Switzerland, before I started the Gateway. And then my whole mind changed from Taj Residency, where it was 1:4, in 1988, and I went to Switzerland and worked in the silo hotels, and they were 1:0.5. For 45 rooms, they had only 20 staff, and one girl was managing the entire hotel over the night, right? So that was in 1988. Today we are talking about 2024. So things are, that's the reality. That's what you have to take back. You know, when you go back today, please tell the, everyone in the industry that India's hospitality industry is changing in terms of embracing technology, automation to the extent that's possible. As Ritu rightly said, it could be actually increase the productivity and the engagement time, high touch time with the guests, so that you actually, everything, all the back end work is taken over by the automation. So there are lots of take-backs today. I don't want to, for want of time, I don't want to elaborate on that, but I'm sure, I hope the whole session has been very absorbing, very interesting for all of us as much as those of you who listen to it. So we'll just have a quick Q&A. I know there are many of you who would like to ask, but before I conclude, I just want to say that it's been such a pleasure and privilege to be moderating this very dynamic group of lady GMs of our hotels and here in Bangalore. And we have only touched just the iceberg. We can go on discussing about this, but one thing that has come about as a concluding session, that I think probably the next time Ritus of the world, you said CADs, no? Yeah. I'm going to have the liberty to call her CADs, will say, why do you want to have this woman thing there? Just say we are, it should be natural. Whether it's a woman or a man, we are general managers. I think that stage is going to come. Thank you. Give them a very big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe even a standing ovation, I think. They deserve that.
I think they deserve a standing ovation. That's absolutely right.
Thank you. I'll leave it to you for questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mohankumar and great ladies for the great panel discussion. Before we just have the next thing, I would like to invite Mr. Sunit Jagadish. He's a GM of a company, not a hotel property, Bharat Glass and Crockery. So you would like to, he will just give us a short this thing about his company and how it is.
People have gathered around meals, sharing stories, laughter, and love. And as long as people need to eat, they will need cutlery, crockery, and glassware, at least in civilized society.
Just the other day, my dad was telling me that they were selling glasses and crockeries for 6 rupees in the original store in Chickpet. By the time I was born in '96, the Chickpet store was the life of Bharat Glass and Crockeries. It had become a landmark for anyone looking to buy crockery, cutlery, glassware and that. It was because of my dad's marketing and zeal to be the best. He had captured up to 80% of the market in South India. From the 80s to the early 2000s, Dad was scaling up the company, acquiring distributions, general trade, and also moving into the hotels, restaurants, and catering industry. He'll tell you the dates most of the time.
Bharat Glass was established in 1959, but my dad started a sheet glass business in 1950. After that, he took over a crockery showroom in Chickpet, running the business with his brother till 1963. I joined the company under the mentorship of my uncle in 1976 and took over Bharat Glass and Crockeries in 1988, expanding from 250 square foot a retail showroom to 8,500 square foot showroom in the year 2000, and then shifted to the current establishment in 2005. At the same time, we expanded to 4 branches across South India in Vizag, Chennai, Goa and Kerala with over 150 employees.
Right after my marriage in 1991, I joined my husband at Bharat Glass and Crockeries to take care of the books of accounts. We were the first to bring order to a chaotic industry. You know how the shops at Chickpet are. We created SOPs for managers and staff to maintain meticulous books and records. then upgraded the data entry process to computers and ERP systems. We were among the first in our field to have an ISO 9001 certificate from KPMG back then itself. I consider this to be a huge milestone for us.
Like every epic story, the success of Bharat Glass was not without its struggles. In the early decades, the company grew as a close-knit family with a culture of shared ownership and responsibility across all the managers, executives and employees, including the office boys and girls. But to cope with the complexities of scale, experienced upper management was brought in from other industries, creating a rift between the owners and employees. Simultaneously, the business was about to be impacted by the global recession of 2008.
Oh yes, 2008 was very stressful. A lot of things went wrong at the same time. I was ready to shut down everything, but my wife and family supported me and I was able to find a solution. We lost a lot of business and were forced to close all our branches, including our flagship property in Chitpet, in order to generate working capital. That was extremely difficult for me to accept. We revamped the entire organization by not focusing on retail. Instead, we specialized in the hotel, restaurant and catering industries. Plus, we brought back the company culture of a Bharat Glass family.
The Bharat Glass family culture holds true even till this day. Mr. Jagdish prides himself on investing in the employees' well-being and education as well as developing skills in-house. Bharat Glass creates opportunities for growth within its ranks to ensure a shared sense of responsibility and ownership.
After recovering from the crisis of 2008 and purchasing back our Chitpet property in 2012, we were faced with another hurdle. There was an urgent requirement for a new marketing head. Previously, we had faced many struggles with hiring outside management. With the support of my husband, I took it on as a challenge to step into this marketing role, which was completely new to me. By this time, we had completely recovered and started a new chapter of BGC. We decided to move away from the narrow streets of Chitpet, starting with 15,000 square feet and then upgrading to this 30,000 square feet facility in the industrial hub of Hosur.
Today, all our departments coexist in the centralized 30,000 square feet facility as a testament to our commitment to innovation and customer experience. Our sales team leverages a multi-modal approach strategies to achieve greater accessibility and service excellence. Our experienced sales agents travel across India to establish relationships with the businesses and facilities, offering a tailor-made solution to expert consultations. Simultaneously, our in-house sales support team provides comprehensive assistance to remote customers through phone, email and our website. With the addition of chat assistance on our website, we ensure that Bharat Glass is always accessible, meeting our client needs with precision and care. As a part of the marketing team, we strategize brand promotions and are constantly looking at the new avenues to expand Bharat Glass properties. While our accounts team help us operate smoothly, ensuring transparency and compliance in our finances.
We are also solution providers. More than anything, client give us their concern and our design team members with the kitchen equipment design help with everything. From kitchen layout to customer design, equipment for our customers, we turn their dreams to the reality. Every project we work on is different and we don't have any copy-paste formula. It is always something unique. Leveraging advanced manufacturing method and the state-of-the-art equipment, we ensure that our work not only meet but exceed the highest standards. We have a large warehouse within our facility that allow us to cater to our customers' needs in an efficient manner. Procurement works with the warehouse and the sales team like a well-oiled machine by ensuring availability of the stock, while also undertaking the complex tasks such as forecasting demand, obtaining the specialized equipment as per the customer specification, and so on.
So when we moved to Windsor, we were finding it difficult to get lunch as there was not much here as we see today. So this is one of the reasons why we started our canteen. So here everybody serves lunch together, even for the visitor, regardless, even if they buy something or not, everyone is invited.
We're proud to say Bharat Glass and Crockeries hold the majority market share in the industry. We've been here for over 6 decades. Our product range, quality and customer service is a class apart. Today, people come to us not just for crockeries but for an experience. Our showroom lets you get up close and personal with all our products. In commercial kitchen equipment, we don't compromise in the grade of steel. We use 304 food grade steel. It might initially add cost to the customer, but in the long run, it's easier to maintain and last for years to come. From concept to creation, all our designs are made in-house and built to suit the customer's requirements. Whether you're a hotel, restaurant, or a catering business, we are a one-stop solution for the HoReCa industry.
Bharat Glass today handles business in over 12 countries, serving over 15,000 customers, is associated with over 100 plus brands. We also work with chefs, restaurant chains, hoteliers, achieving excellence in service, quality, and leaving a lasting legacy. For centuries.
Thank you. Hello.
I just want to remind Satish Dange that we have finished exactly at 5.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
It was supposed to be 3:35.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. And a huge round of applause for that. May I invite Satish? We need to felicitate you on behalf of World of Hospitality. Mr. Mohankumar. Satish, on stage. Mr. Mohankumar. Thank you very much, sir, for moderating this absolutely delightful session. And please.
So for a change, there is no such thing as ladies first.
Yes, yes. Moderator
I don't mind.
First.
I don't mind.
Miss Sabrina. Thank you for being with us for this interesting panel. Miss Kadambari Sabharwal, Talwar. Yeah, please continue the claps. Thank you so much. Miss Ridhima Nair. She is not there. Okay, sorry. Miss Uma Maheswari. Miss Uma Maheswari. Miss Ritu Chawla. I think we can use more louder claps if we can. Thank you. Miss Ritu Chawla. Miss Bhavana Alvares. Miss Bhavana is going to be with us again tomorrow for a very interesting EHK session. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here. And we have Bharat Glass also has got something which they would like to give you.
Yes, of course. We want to
Yeah, we'll have the group photo first. Come in the front. Come in the front, please. Thank you. Yeah, go on. Satish, we would also like to give a plaque to Bharat class. If somebody, yeah, you can. Sir, Mr. Jagdish, come please. 1 minute. Thank you for your support, sir. Thank you very much. Satish, yeah. 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 And you can take the gift.